Hello, dear students and researchers. I'm Dr. Mohammed Irfan Maqsood, and today we are going to talk about doing research and the basics of data organization. It is our sixth topic on the course series of research methodologies. So, when we talk about doing research is not just only to perform the research, we consider it as a process of data management. But on what designs this data management is going to be performed. So if we revise our course, we talked about there are several sections of as an architect or to start the paper writings. The one for the philosophy of research, we talked about the strong knowledge of scientific writings. Of course, we talk about the how to do critical readings and literature review analysis. We talked about this also. Then we come to the research designing strategies. We had a little discussions on this. Now we will go a comprehensive details with revisions of some things, and then we will go for the research methodologies, means to do research, how to do research. So in doing research, we have collections, analysis, and interpretation of data. So collectively, it is known as the data organizations. And when we have a complete comprehensive interpretations of the data and we reached our conclusions, then we go for the writing, editing, formatting process, which is the repeated cycles of paper writing. So we divide this all architect of this writing of papers into three main sections. The one sections which are related to the reading text. There you have to study. You have to read. You have to read to understand the everything, means philosophies, the knowledge, the everythings. Then in section 3, 4, and 5, the critical readings, research, designing strategies, and the methodologies, we have to do and learn. Means we have to practice the things. We have to write the things. We have to do some formatted structurings. And then in this last sections, it's a regular practice, means continuously you have to practice. So there is nothing to learn, actually. It is a practice based on the author guidelines, and like these things, we will talk at the last sections. So in research designing strategies, we talked about, we have two type of performing a research approach. One is the qualitative research approach, and second is the quantitative research approach. And in both, we talked about what are the basic characteristics of both. For example, in qualitative research approach, we use the in-depth knowledge of a specific context, and it generates new ideas. It talks about the characteristics, it talks about the phenomena, it talks about the happenings. But in quantitative research approach, we talked about the figures, the numbers, the numerical values. So we can say that qualitative research approach is based on the non-numerical values of a phenomena. But quantitative research approach is of numerical values of a phenomena. So it indicates the effectiveness of our research because it gives us the digits. In qualitative research designs, we talked about the case studies, ethnography, grounded theories, phenomenology, means what is happening actually, and how these things are happening. We interpret based on the analysis, based on the observations, based on the people's perspectives, based on their thoughts, based on the on their different views, opinions, like this. But in quantitative research designs, we talk about the exact process of defining specific phenomena based on the numerical values. Means we perform the research in the labs, we create data, we analyze the data, we do comparative analysis, and then we give a comprehensive descriptive conclusions. So there are four types of the quantitative research designs also. So when we finalize the research approaches, we choose what nature of a research work is going to be performed. Either it is a primary research work or either it is a secondary research work. In primary research works, we talked about the research performed solely by you, means you are originating a research. For example, you are doing to grounds, performed to works, and discovering a new things, new data, like these things. But in secondary research, you're relying on the already published data published by the organizations, data published by the some researchers, data given by as an annual report, like these things. Sometimes we also use the combinations approach of the nature of the research, means also the primaries, also the secondary. For example, we use some already published data by the organizations or authorities, and also we do a little perform. We also perform some kind of research to justify or to complete that scenario. So we can have two separate things which should not be mixed together. One is doing research. In doing research, we have the research objectives and purpose. We have research approaches, means doing research also. We have what kind of nature of the research work is being performed, primary or secondary, and also the data analysis, means data management, data collection, the whole process. And in this research designings, we have the 6 questions to answer generally. You can have your own questions also, but basically there are 6 questions focusing on 5 WH, means what, who, when, where, and why. So these 5 WH, which is composed of the 6 questions, actually it is a 5 questions, but 6 question is a little bit different. We will talk about, because the 6th question is about the conclusions. So this is all called about the research designing strategies. But in writing a research paper is when you have done the research, then you have to go for writing a research paper, where a research paper is published. So research paper actually is a creative conclusion. So that's why I said the 6th section here, what are the conclusions. This is actually a 6 sections where the writing a research paper mechanisms begins. So it is a creative conclusions, a new piece of information, and which is published by a journals, then indexed on some databases, and has some scientometric values. We talked about the scientometric values, we talked about the databases, indexing databases, and also you have to find out what kind of journals are the scholarly journals or publishers you are looking for. So in these 4 sections, we defined the complete comprehensive objectives and purposes. So when we reach the conclusions, then we go for the writing and editing and formatting the paper process, so which is a repeated cycles. So considering this, the conclusions, so now we are going to answer all these 6 things. You say the nature of research is defined there, the research methodologies are defined there in these questions. So these questions are comprehensive conclusions of all the things that we are having there. So here, if we want to go to, for example, a conclusions, then we have to take an examples. For examples, I took an examples of investigating the impact of customer loyalty on the sustainability of a brand in global market, especially for the management and MBA students. So considering this a topic, we have 5 WH of the research. Means what is the basic purpose of this research? And I defined it as the basic purpose of this research is to study the relevance of factors affecting the sustainability of a brand with special emphasis on customer loyalty. So we also explained what kind of research approaches will be applied. Nature of the research, the nature of the research works means the current research work will use a combinatorial approach. As I talked, we can use the primary and secondary together. The original research work will be done, and also already published data will be used to justify the results or to comparative analysis. What kind of analysis we are going to do? Again, we can use the combination theories, means combinatorial approach. This research will also focus on the qualitative and quantitative and qualitative analysis of the data. So we'll focus on both these things. So current research will be performed using several methodologies in combination theories, including retrieval and doing analysis of the data, communication with the locals and international brands, creating the data, questionnaires and surveys, again, creating the data to study the brand anthropology, and a comprehensive statistical analysis. 5 critical hypotheses have been developed to reach a productive conclusions. So in these 5 critical hypotheses are the customer loyalty is all in one factor required to test the international market. This is our hypothesis. No business can sustain in an international market if it has no plan for its loyal customers. Because in this research we will focus, if you are not creating a plan for your loyal customers, the customers who are not coming, or the customers who have been your loyal customers are your loyal customers, and they will lose you. They will go for another brand. So you have to some engagement plans. The big capital and strong teams can start or run the business are not enough to sustain in global market. Again, our theory is because for sustaining in the global markets, we need the loyalty of the customers, or the loyal customers staying with us. Hundreds of loyal customers are enough to keep a brand operating eternally, because these are the loyal brands who are already dependent on you, and always they are using your products. So loyal customers can introduce your brands into international market and can provide sustainability to the business. So after this, I did a literature review analysis, and I want to give the examples. As I said, this is a proposed topics, and I'm just presenting it as an example so that you guys can understand how to do the research, how to analyze the things, and how to write a research paper. So considering the topics, I divided the topics into 4 sections. 1, the global market. Second, sustainability of brand. Third, investigating the impact. Impact of what? Impact of customer loyalty. So you have to divide, when you have finalized a topic, you have to divide your topic into 3 or 4 sections. Means basic or based on the keywords where you want to go. So I will, as I said, before writing a literature review, you have to do a lot of general studies, means reading a lot of research papers and review papers published in 3 to 5 years to understand the current range of that topics which you have finalized. So using these keywords, you can study 30 to 50 research papers, original papers and review papers to reach a conclusion, and then start writing the introductions and literature review of your research. So I focused on the international business, means the global market. So I said, an international business is usually a multi-billion-dollar venture providing services or selling its products to 6 continents and 100+ countries such as Nestle, Google, Microsoft, General Motors, McDonald's, etc. I used a reference to justify this theory what I'm presenting here, or to justifying the piece of knowledge. Also, the second sentence is the international market opens new opportunities for a business venture as it has the potential to reach billions of customers around the world, ensuring the long-term sustainability of the brand in the global market. So again, the reference I discussed here. So I'm starting my literature reviews focusing on the global markets, then connecting this global market to the sustainability of a brand in the global market. And then I will go the impacts which are you can say the supportive impacts, means which helps to sustain the brand in the global markets. And then we will reach the significance of a customer loyalty, which is the main topic of of our research, the proposed research. So the literature review, you can have your own. For example, you can focus the sustainability of a brand instead of the international business or international or global markets. Also, you can say, no, I want to talk about the factors affecting the sustainability of a brand. So you can focus on the investigations of the impacts, means there are a lot of factors which have been studied or worked. So it depends on you what type of theories you are creating, because our research paper is your creative story. So it depends on you how you create the story. So then I go for, I use the, you can say a kind of the sustainability branch and all the factors affecting the sustainability brand. So I talked, as I said, the multinational firms with a big difference and huge capital easily enter in a new market. But with the passage of time, they face several challenges, making their survival tough in the competitive environment. Again, I use a reference to justify my research, my piece of knowledge, and then I conclude towards the customer loyalty is a master factor. And because this was our hypothesis also. So when you are proposing a hypothesis, yes, there are many master factors, but you focus on what you are proposing and what you are going to find out to discover, so you can justify it. So I called it as a master factor affecting the survivability of a brand, because the loyal customers act as a backbone of the brand. And I also found some references to justify this piece of knowledge. So when you finalize your literature review, it's just a comprehensive short literature reviews, and it's not enough for a good research paper. So you have to extend it, because I used the 4 references, 4 sentences actually, to justify my 4 keywords of the titles. So you, for every keyword, you can go for 2 sentences, 3 sentences, 4 sentences. Then comprehensively, you can go for about 600, 700, 800 words usually. And then we go for the research methods in this proposed research works. In research methods, we have to define the first steps. What is the first steps? I said first steps retrieval of the data from authentic data sets. What are the data sets we talked about in our first lectures? Then to do the communications with the national and international brands, also anonymous and also targeted, means in sometimes we will use the names and sometimes we will not use the names. Then doing the questionnaires and surveys, also with the national and international brands and also the customers of both. And then we will do statistical analysis to reach the conclusions. So this whole process is a kind of data collections and analysis, which we called it the data organization. So data organization, again, as we talked about in the qualitative research, also it generated new ideas, but data is also generating new ideas, and also it provides an in-depth knowledge of the specific context. So we have two types of data, primary data and secondary data. The same, which is defining the nature of the research works, means you are creating this data, you are formulating this data, and second, which data already have been published and you are just using it. So in data organizations, we called it the searching for the facts. We said a set of data actually has a creative story inside it, and we don't know that story. So that's why we have to do the analysis. So in that knowledge is useful for making some critical decisions. So data after collections could be organized, summarized for descriptive and inferential analysis, which are necessary to test the hypothesis, because hypothesis is where the research is based. So you formulated a hypothesis, you do the data analysis, and then you reached a conclusions, means you are testing your hypothesis. So considering this complete comprehensive analysis, which we called it the analysis which is leading to our results, the inferential analysis, then you made a conclusion. So conclusion is made, and we called this process, just this process of the data organizations. Also, there is a specific discipline on this, when we called it the actuarial science. Actually, this is a discipline that applies mathematical and statistical methods to the systematic observation of natural events to assess the risk of events occurring and help formulating policies that minimize the risk and its financial impact. So actuarial science is a kind of statistics, means the computational analysis. Like these all kind of analysis, they could be a kind of the actuarial sciences, because they are the science of fact. It is also kind of the formal science we discuss in our first chapters, because it is related with the mathematical or statistical formulas. So this is where we made the conclusions, and we go for the data. So data, why it is important? Because it helps us to understand our audience. It tells us what decision we should make, and it also helps us to evaluate our budgets, and it identify and help us to solve the problems, which is the basic purpose of our research again. So the basic purpose of doing research is identifying and solving the problems, issues, and challenges. Don't forget this. If someone asks you why you are doing this research, you can say that I'm trying to look out some problems which are stopping us to become a developed nation, or what you can say, to issues which are stopping us to have a good lives or to improve our life. So the basic purpose of research is to identify and solve the problems. So in data organizations, we organize the data actually into 6 sections. The one thing is the data decisions. So data decision means you have to take a decisions. What kind of data you need? Primary data, secondary data, and from where you have to retrieve. The second is you started downloading the data, means the retrieval of the data, or go to the market and do the research and collect the data. So all this process is called the collections. Retrieval and collection is together. So when you have a lot of data, then you do the cleaning of the data, means you have to remove some raw data. This variable is not enough. This is not good. I don't want this. And then you go for a cleaned data. Then you have, when you have a clean data, then you go for the analysis, data analysis, which is the most important sections here. So when you do a comprehensive analysis, then you do some kind of interpretations, the analysis, the formulations of some kind of results, the conclusions, and then you go for the data visualizations where you want to present that interpretations which were received or recovered from the data analysis. So data visualization is actually the presentation of scientific information in the form of graphs, which is easy to understand. For examples, we'll talk about one examples here. So we have several types of data analysis. Means we have text analysis, we have statistical analysis, we have diagnostic analysis, we have predictive analysis, and we have prescriptive analysis. All these 5 types of analysis tells us a different story. For example, the first things we did literature review, and we called it not literature review, we called it review analysis or the literature review analysis. It is also a kind of data analysis which comes under the category of the text analysis. It tells us what is happening. Means the people who have done research and what is happening. We read the information and we understand what is happening right now. The statistical analysis tells us what had happened. Means when we do the analysis, we say, oh, yeah, these things happened in the data. The data is explaining these things. So it has happened. So then the diagnostic analysis, actually, it tells us why this happened. So we find out the issues related to why this process happens. And then based on that, we do a predictive analysis. For example, in the last 3 decades, what is happening, what had happened and what is happening now, and what could be in the future. So based on that, we also do some, you can say, kind of prescriptions, what actions we should take, what are the solutions to stop these things. So there are 5 types of the data analysis: the text analysis, statistical analysis, diagnostic analysis, predictive analysis, and prescriptive analysis. So we'll talk about one by one of all these things. The text analysis, actually, it is a critical reading and literature review analysis. It's not just only the reading and review, it is the reading and review analysis. So analysis, it helps us to extract the keywords, phrases, and sentence fragments, how the people are manipulating, how the people are generating, actually, or managing the knowledge. We try to search the hidden knowledge behind this. By using this analysis, we understand the current status of an issue, and also we identify what are the possible hypotheses. We can make it new hypotheses, and what were the hypotheses, so we can correlate it and to establish the good hypothesis. Because if there is not a good question, you cannot find a good answer. So if there is not a good hypothesis, there is not a good conclusions. So if you don't know the problems, you cannot have the solution. So this is, and to establish the connections with the readers and authors, the most important things in research. So the second thing is a statistical analysis, understanding the facts and trends. In statistical analysis, we have 2 types of analysis: inferential analysis and descriptive analysis. In inferential analysis, we do the testings or the hypothesis. If we find out actually what is this as happening. We do the confidence intervals and also the regression analysis to understand what had happened there. But in descriptive analysis, we go for the measurement of the frequencies, central tendencies, and the dispersions of the data. So in this, then we go for the diagnostic analysis. It uncovers the causes of certain events or results. It gives us, in diagnostic analysis, we have several types of analysis. For example, you can do some kind of time series analysis. For example, in 1 decade, in 2nd decade, in 3rd decade, in 4th decade, you can do like these things, and you understand the, for example, in 10 years ago, this specific phenomena happened, means the collapse of economy. what were the causes of collapse of economy? You say there was a war in the world, in the region. So, okay. So this is a kind of time series analysis. So if there will be a wars, it could be a kind of the financial collapse. So we can do this kind of diagnostic analysis. Also, there is a data drillings usually used in the business intelligence to understand you can say a kind of shadow stories, what is happening behind this. And also we have a correlation analysis to identify why these things is correlated to these things, because everything which is happening in the world normally they are not coincidence, everything is related to another things. So we find out the correlations between these two events which is happening at the same times, or maybe creating a long-term impact. So the correlational analysis tells us actually why did this happen. Also, we have predictive analysis, where we study the past to predict the futures. Usually, the predictive analysis, you can say the machine learnings and the decision trees, they are doing the same jobs. And also, we have prescriptive analysis, what kind of actions we can take to prevent it from happening futures. And you can say this is the best action plans, what we are finding. And we have some kind of analysis in this, like the lead scorings and the algorithm development, means SOPs. We do the rankings, we do the gradings, SOPs, developing SOPs like this. So as I said, I will give you the examples of the data visualizations. We did our research and published it as a mini review in the Cell Biology Internationals in 2014. It was about the mesenchymal stem cell-based therapy for osteoid diseases. And here's what we did. We talked about that. This is an example of a paper based on the data analysis, completely data analysis. Here, what we did a lot of comprehensive analysis from the data sets of the clinical trials published by the government of the United States about all over the world. And from this data of the clinical trials, we did the analysis and we presented it into graphs. In graphs, you see the first figure, it is presenting the percentages of the diseases, use the cell therapies, the mesenchymal stem cell therapies, then the years used, we divided what all these clinical trials happened in what years they started and from where they are going, and also, of course, the predictive analysis also. What are the phases of these clinical trials? We visualize this data. For example, anyone see this data, they say, oh yeah, there were, for example, 1.4%. The total test were at the phase zeros, means they were at the initial stages. And by doing when we are doing a kind of clinical research, the 8% research is still unknown. What are the phases? Because they are mixing the results, so the results are not productive enough to give them a phase. So from all the research, for example, this is happening in the clinical trials, only 0.3% research is finished and 4.2% is at the end phase near to the finish. So still big percentages of the research is under the process of happening. So we need a comprehensive strategies to finish these steps. Of course, it was the updates of the data up to 2013. And now I'm sure the statistics will be different. We had no time to finish, publish an updates, but we can do it. And then what countries are involved in kind of this research, and also the comprehensive analysis of the clinical trials using only mesenchymal stem cells, means, as we said, the finished, the ongoing, and some unknown. So this is a data visualizations of a research. And when you reach a conclusion, then you do the data visualization. And based on this data visualization, you publish your research, and your research receives good citations. So to reach a good conclusion, you need a good data, means authentic and reliable, and a comprehensive analysis. And when you do the comprehensive analysis, then you go for writing a research papers. Feel free to read the Simplifying the Scientific Writings for further readings, and you can download it on your Androids, also on your Apple books. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me anytime using on my social media at Ahmed Maksood. at YouTube's, at Instagrams, Twitters, and also you can write me email anytime, explaining the issues or questions that you have mentioning in this subject, so I can open the emails and I will reply you as soon as possible. Usually I reply in 24 hours of the emails. And don't forget to subscribe the YouTube channels and also share my channels with your friends so that the maximum students, they can get the advantage of this research. Thank you. Have a good day.